Good evening. Before we get started, I just want to give a warm welcome to everybody who's here to support Mr. Carl Estelle, his friends and family. I'm a big fan of his also, so thank you so much for coming out on a very cold night. I also want to give a shout out to several mayors who are in the audience tonight. Mayor Tawa, Mayor Curry, Mayor Oliver, and Mayor Ford. And I just want to thank you all for your leadership in the South Suburbs. When folks ask me who I'm talking with and who I'm working with on a weekly basis to tackle issues in the Southland and make lives better here, these are the folks that I look to for leadership. These are the folks that I love working with on this shared mission. So thank you so much for being here tonight. I appreciate it. Just a couple of things before we get started. I'm going to call folks from the list for public comment, and when I call your name, if you could abide by the public comment policy, which includes but is not limited to introducing yourself with your name and address, directing your comments to the public body at large, not a single member of staff. Also, I'm acting with decorum and limiting your comments to 5 minutes per person for a total public comment time of 30 minutes. Just let you know that we are streaming this meeting via Zoom, and for those of you who are on Zoom right now, I apologize. We do have audio, but I do not believe that the video is working, so many apologies for that. But look forward to following on. The time is 7:04. Before Alvin, please call the roll.
Trustee Bradley Scott, present. Trustee Daggett. Here. Trustee Driscoll. Here. Trustee Lawson. Here. Trustee Mitros. Here. Trustee Mustafa. Here. Mayor Nelson.
Present. Thank you so much. We have a quorum. First up, citizens present listening to address the board, and first on the list is Ms. Carl Estelle. Welcome.
Mayor Nelson, trustees, family, friends, Flossmoor neighbors. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Carl Estelle, and it's both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today as a proud resident of the village of Flossmoor, and even more so as the wife of our impending police chief, Carl Estelle. Wonderful community, I feel a deep sense of pride for the place we call home. Flossmoor is welcoming, beautiful, and we are connected. It is a village rich in character, filled with compassionate individuals who care for one another. And today, we are not just here to witness an impending ceremonial swearing in. We are here to celebrate a commitment to the safety and well-being of our community.
Hear, hear.
Carl is not only qualified, but he is now certified through the state of Illinois. And I know, without equivocation, that he will do an amazing job implementing his incredible law enforcement skill set right here in Flossmoor. Carl is not only qualified, but he brings over 25 years of impeccable law enforcement service gained from some of California's most dangerous communities. He maneuvered the dangerous gang-riddled streets of Oakland, San Francisco, and East Palo Alto, oftentimes looking death in the eye. The most dangerous communities in the metro Chicagoland area pale in comparison to the dangers he faced on the West Coast. Carl is not only qualified, but he's a graduate of the FBI National Academy, America's premier institution in law enforcement training. He has more plaques and awards than our office wall can accommodate, to include recognition from the Department of Justice, the United States Attorney's Office, and California's Office of the Attorney General, just to name a few. Carl is not only qualified, but I have had the unique opportunity to observe Carl's law enforcement journey, as well as his leadership over the years. And I can say with full confidence that his passion for the line of work is not only evident, but truly inspiring. Carl is not only qualified, but he is also dedicated. He's a dedicated public servant who takes his responsibilities to heart and leads with integrity, charisma, and strength. He embodies the qualities that we would want in a police chief. He possesses impeccable interpersonal skills that foster trust and open, communication. He knows that effective policing is built on relationships, and he values every interaction, as evidenced in this room. Carl is not only qualified, but his strong leadership capabilities enable him to inspire teams and motivate those around him to strive for excellence. Courage is the hallmark of Carl's character. He approaches challenges head on, and he leads with confidence, always advocating for the safety and welfare of others. Carl's not only qualified, but he understands the complexities of law enforcement today, and he is prepared to meet those challenges with ensuring that Flossmoor remains safe and a welcoming community for all its residents. I am beyond proud to be his wife, and I am excited for what lies ahead, not just for Carl, but for the entire Flossmoor community. I have no doubt that he will serve with dedication and passion, working tirelessly to make our village an even better place to live, work, attract economic development, and raise a family. And as an added bonus, it's nice to have a tax-paying resident of Flossmoor as our chief. And at the risk of exposing our business, just trust me to say the taxes are high. Thank you for welcoming Carl as our new and pending police chief. Together, I believe we can work and look forward to a bright future characterized by community engagement, trust, and mutual respect. Congratulations, Carl. We are proud of you, and I can't wait to see the positive impact you will make as the new chief of police. And remember, Flossmoor, united we stand, divided we fall. Let's keep Flossmoor standing. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up is Michael Morrow. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Michael Morrow. I am a graduate of Homewood-Flossmoor High School. I'm also the son of Carl Estelle's first cousin, Charles G. Morrow. He unfortunately could not be here today, so he asked me to provide some comment, provide a comment to the board, and as well as to the people, and more specifically to Carl Estelle. So I will just get on with that. He says, "Dear cousin, I sent you some of those pictures to remind us how far we've come as a family. From our grandparents being orphaned at an early age, to them cleaning buses and trains and being cooks on those trains, to now being elected officials, to our children holding masters and PhDs, and now with you becoming police chiefs. With our family looking on you from heaven, I just want you to know how proud all of us are and how proud we are of your accomplishment today. Your big cousin, retired state representative Charles G. Morrow III. And God bless you and keep you safe and far."
Next up, this is a name that's very familiar, Mr. James Wilder. Oh, you signed in. Did you want to say something?
No, I have nothing to say.
But it's really good to see the
Happy to be here.
We're happy to see you, James.
Mr. James Wilder is a former trustee and also the best dressed man in Flossmoor. Next up, Miss Andrea Perry, welcome.
Andrea Perry. Why is Acting Chief Taylor being passed over and becoming Flossmoor's next chief of police time and time again? The question is being asked by many in the community. Acting Chief Taylor has been employed in the police services for close to 24 years, 15 of which have been with the Flossmoor Police Department. He served almost 6 years as patrol sergeant, followed by serving over 2 years as commander. According to the Homewood-Flossmoor Chronicle, at the swearing-in ceremony as commander, the newly promoted Deputy Chief Wagner said, "Having internal succession within the department is great because an outside person would need time to get familiar with the community. Over 2.5 years later, Acting Chief Taylor became Deputy Chief upon Wagner's retirement, which was shortly following the police-involved shooting of Madeline Miller. At the swearing-in ceremony, Chief Hamwriter stated, "I cannot think of a better individual to serve as Deputy Chief than Keith Taylor. These are big shoes to fill, and he is more than capable to fill them." 3 months later, in December 2022, upon Chief Hamwriter's sudden departure, and amidst the tough and devastating aftermath of the Madeline Miller's police-involved shooting, Deputy Chief Taylor was thrust into the position of Acting Chief, assuming the duties of both Chief and Deputy Chief. He accepted the challenges of restoring trust and communication with the community, making himself accessible to talk through any issues some may have had with understanding police standard operating procedures and protocols. On March 27, 2023, Jarrell Jones was hired as police chief. Then the controversial firing of Chief Jones once again placed Deputy Chief Taylor in the position of acting chief. Once again, in less than a year later, Deputy Chief Taylor was thrust back and stepped into the roles of acting chief, assuming the duties of both chief and deputy chief for this past year, rather than being given the opportunity to be the chief. Acting Chief Taylor has served Flossmoor in the roles of acting chief, assuming the duties of both chief and deputy chief for a total of 1 year and 4 months. Given that Flossmoor's leadership and management were so concerned about keeping Flossmoor safe that they swiftly ousted Chief Jones, they would not have placed and kept Pete Taylor as acting chief under trying times and for that length of time if Flossmoor's safety and police department performance was at issue or at risk. Their actions exhibit a blatant contradiction. Deputy Chief Taylor was deemed qualified to hold down the ship in the absence of not one but 2 former chiefs as an act of convenience, yet not weathering enough storms to be given an opportunity to permanently hold the position. As mentioned during past board meetings, Acting Chief Taylor has built a rapport with neighboring agencies as well as obtained things such as license plate, reader, and other necessary equipment to improve the Flossmoor Police Department. Academically, Acting Chief Taylor has a master's and BA in Public Safety Administration, both awarded with honors. In addition, his resume cites an extensive list of completed professional, academic, and professional training programs and courses. Most significant is that Keith Taylor was one of the 4 finalists for police chief, along with Jarrell Jones in a $10,000 search conducted by the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police. Also, Carl Estelle was one of the applicants in this search. The top 4 finalists were Acting Chief Taylor, Commander Philkins, Richton Park Police Chief Jarrell Jones, and Country Club Hills Police Chief Malcolm White. Given these recommendations, why was Flossmoor's very own passed over not once but twice? This is such a blatant act of bypassing a more than qualified individual who could have been and should have been our next police chief. This lack of consideration of Acting Chief Taylor as one of the first African American officers who has worked up through the ranks has a trickle-down effect. This act of neglect and disrespect sends a strong message to other Flossmoor Police Department officers that aspire to make a career to one day be chief. You can climb the ranks but may not reach the top, and you may be qualified in hard times yet won't be considered in this time. During these times when it's difficult to find qualified candidates for the position of police officer in general, the village through these actions clearly is not providing an incentive for anyone to make a career here. Thank you.
Mr. Lynch. Mr. Lynch, who lives on Boulder Road, you wanted to say something?
I missed the next one.
Okay, all right, nice to see you, thanks for being here. Pam Jackson. Welcome, Pam.
Good evening. Trustees, Mayor, Village Manager. My name is Pam Jackson, I'm a resident of Flossmoor. In April of 2024, I came before you with thoughts and questions regarding HR policies and procedures in an effort to better understand them. While some of my questions were answered, many responses felt surface level and did not give me confidence that the village had a proper grievance or performance evaluation process in place. In June, I returned to share concerns about the community's climate, the steps the village would take to ensure the success of the next police chief, and the dysfunction I observed within the board. During that meeting, I also inquired about the search process for the new chief of police and whether the community could or would be involved. During his comment time, a trustee responded that community involvement was not possible, citing candidate privacy concerns. That same board member has also asserted that I've made categorically wrong HR statements during past remarks. To that I say this: having led a confidential school board superintendent search process, I know firsthand that community involvement can happen without compromising candidate privacy. In that search, a small group of community members participated in finalist selections under non-disclosure agreements to maintain confidentiality. Openness to include the community requires a willingness to do so. Additionally, regarding any of my HR-related comments, I welcome said trustee to specify any categorically incorrect statements I have made, as I am always open to feedback and have no problem standing corrected. For those who have heard me speak before, you know process is my greatest concern. I understand that Mr. Carl Estelle is being sworn in as chief of police. Having served as director of police services for the past 7 months, this appointment was expected. Given the strong community outcry following Chief Jones' dismissal, and while he was in this director of police services capacity, I had hoped to hear more from the village regarding how he planned to address the concerns raised by mayor and village manager about our police department with regard to improving morale and different strategies on recruiting and retaining talent. Tonight, again, given the attention this role had gotten, I hope we can gain insight in the work completed over the past 7 months. I speak for myself, but wouldn't doubt that our community might also appreciate a snapshot of how things have been going. Lastly, I was pleased to hear him quoted as recognizing the importance of fostering positive relationships with residents. That was a strong suit of our previous chief and something the community deeply valued. I look forward to seeing that commitment in action, and I do wish Mr. Estelle the best and I pray the village ensures he is set up for success. Thank you.
Stephen, I'm so sorry, I can't read the last name, it starts with an S. Stephen S. Hi, did you want to make a comment?
Hello, everyone.
Come on up.
I didn't have anything to say. I signed the wrong sheet.
Okay, welcome. Miss Susan Bass. Welcome, Miss Bass.
The old lady takes a little. I'm not gonna use it. I want to say, we're starting a new year. I'm Susan Bass. I've been here for 58 years in Flossmoor. So I've seen it all. And I want to tell you, my wish and my hopes are that this community come together as one, that it's not divided. When I came here, it's never been like this, ever. And for us to be together is very, very important. That's the main thing. It's not about color, it's not about religion, it's not about money. It's about being kind and having good friends and helping people. And that's what Flossmoor was always about. And it's changed, and it's got to go back to where it was. That's what I'm saying. I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bass. And last, I have Mr. Kiefer Demery. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Council Board. This is more of a question, less of a comment. Mary Nelson, I sent you an email back in December, and also in January with a question. And since I didn't get a response, I figured I'd come here to ask the question because I generally want to know the answer. But I was, in the email I sent to you, I noticed that during our, I noticed that I was on your campaign page for Instagram, and I noticed the picture that we took of community worship service, that picture was on your page. I was in that picture. And so my question was, where do elected officials and campaigning candidates draw the line? Because I was disturbed to have my picture on that page in my active capacity as pastor of the Christian Church of Christ, because I don't want anyone to get the sentiment that I'm campaigning for someone, because in that capacity, I don't campaign for anyone. I don't mind my picture, I don't want my name attached to anyone's campaign paraphernalia or campaign products as pastor. So that was my question. And also, as I was looking at your page, I noticed that there were pictures of you doing things as mayor and also doing things in the community, so I couldn't tell where is the line. And I also noticed that there were things on the page as mayor, there were nowhere else, which in my opinion should have been somewhere on the village's website, Facebook, they were not there. Things that you were doing that I thought, if someone's interested, they should know that. And so I bring the question because I had gotten a response from you in my 2 emails. And also with the request that that picture that I'm in, that you please take that off of your page. I do not want anyone getting the idea that I am campaigning for any candidate as pastor. So I don't know if I get the answer here or your response.
No, thank you so much. Is that all you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't appreciate your email. You were politicizing the annual Thanksgiving gathering, which is a sacred space. And we did not ask you to take the photo down, but I will remove you from the photo respectfully. I appreciate your participation, but that is not a political event. And thank you very much.
I didn't say it was a political event. What I was
That's
saying.
what you indicated in your email.
No, it was not. I was asking you a question, what's the line? Here's the email here.
Sure.
What's the line between campaigning and you acting as a village representative? That was the question.
It does get tough around campaign season, but that's something that we've been doing for the past, that was our 4th year in a row, I believe, bringing it back from COVID. And that is.
I'm not specifically talking about that event.
You were.
I'm asking you, what is the line between campaigning and also acting as an elected official? Where do you draw the line?
A campaign event is where you would draw the line, right? The campaign event is totally different than something
Exactly.
that you can do.
So that's why I asked the question, why would a community event be on your campaign page? That's your
Because
campaign
all of
page.
my events, everything that I do as mayor is on there.
So everything you do as mayor is a part of your campaign, don't you think? That's why I said, where's the line? That's what I said, where's the line?
Okay.
That's
I
my
will take,
question.
sir, I will take your photo out of that.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We are moving on. First up, I've got a proclamation declaring February as Black History Month, and I'm so excited. I've got Dr. Avisha Ford from the I Can Dream Center. I'm going to welcome her on up. I've got Marcus Crawford with Angels Athletics, and I also have Destiny Watson with We Matter Too. This year, every year, Flossmoor features different residents to focus on who are doing great things. We're history makers during Black History Month. And this year, I wanted to focus on our non-for-profit leaders because of the excellent work that they do for our community, for our families, and for our youth. So Dr. Avisha Ford is here on the end. She's with the I Can Dream Center. Her center provides services to families with a family member dealing with an autism diagnosis and other special needs. We have Destiny Watson with We Matter Too. She does a ton of youth programming, plus she was the founder of the Juneteenth Parade and Festival. Thank you. And then we also have Marcus Crawford here, and is your wife with you? On Katrina, come on. With Angels Athletics, and they provide athletic opportunities to young girls and also mentorship. So thank you so much. Everybody here who's joining me has made a huge difference in the community, and whereas Flossmoor is a community steeped in history and energized by diversity and inclusion in all its forms. And whereas Flossmoor is a community where we celebrate the differences that are woven in our community fabric. And whereas as we commemorate Black History Month, it is important to celebrate the contribution of Black Americans in every endeavor of American life. And whereas Flossmoor is fortunate to be the home of Black leaders in civic life, arts, and entertainment, science, medicine, industry, and so many more fields. And whereas we are all indebted to those who came before us and those who made Black history today. And whereas President Gerald Ford formally recognized Black History Month in February 1976, encouraging America to take time to learn about the achievements and contributions of Black Americans to our American landscape. And now, therefore, I, Michelle I. Nelson, Mayor of Flossmoor, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2025 as Black History Month, and encourage Flossmoor residents to participate in Black History Month activities throughout our community, schools, and library, in which we learn about the achievements of Black Flossmoor residents who are leaders in not-for-profit organizations. Dated this 17th day of February 2025, and just, if you will, just allow me, I'd like to hear a few words from each of our directors about maybe how long your organization has been in existence, and sorry I didn't warn you, and just what the community support means to you, and what giving back means to you.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for this honor to recognize the efforts of myself and all of the folks who are standing here today. The Ivy Dream Center is celebrating 12 years in March, and I'll cover it today. I spent about a decade and a half in leadership in public education as an assistant superintendent, as a director of special education. And public education is so important for students to be successful. What I also realized is that every student is not going to be served by the public education system. And so the Ivy Dream Center was born. I realized that there was an opportunity for our students to thrive that wasn't necessarily being realized. And so it's been an honor really to serve students. We started in Haven Press, and we were received there very warmly. In 2020, we moved to Tillman Park because we needed a larger space and had central space. One thing I can say is that we have a 100% high school graduation rate for our students that come to us sometime in their second or third. Students who stay with us until adulthood leave us, and they enter the world ready to work. And so we're honored to be embraced by the city of Flossmoor. We've had the Battle of Chefs through Dundas Market, and we've just been well received by the city. We're grateful. We serve several students from Homewood-Flossmoor High School, and we're just grateful to be able to be recognized and to continue to give back to the community and to support any way we can and for this recognition. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Destiny Johnson. I'm the founder and CEO of United 2. We just turned 10 in October, so this is a big milestone. I started United 2 when I was 16. It was definitely not what it is now. It just started this, and now I get to do what I love every day in my community that I grew up in. We work with 6th through 12th grade students on a year-round basis, giving them access to leadership development, personal development, college and career skills. We're getting ready to take 23 high school students on a 5-day college tour at the end of March. We are celebrating our 10-year anniversary. On May 29th, we'll be having a gala, so everyone is welcome to join us and come and celebrate. Our big dream is to open up a community center to serve the South Suburbs. We're doing all the things for youth, service, culinary, mental health, art therapy, and so I'm just so glad to be able to continue to serve our community, serve the youth in this community, and just being able to continue to grow. Flossmoor was one of the first places that really opened up their doors to us, and Flossmoor Community Church is like, hey, you need somewhere to meet, here's a key. And we've been there ever since, and so I'm just so grateful to be able to do all the good things in my community that I grew up in, and I'm just grateful to continue to serve and excited to see what the next 10 years bring. So thank you all so much for your support. We cannot do anything without you.
Through this organization, not only as she was getting her undergraduate, but as she was getting her graduate degree too. So huge deal. Congratulations. So, Marcus.
as folks from the church say, first give it on to God. I want to thank, first of all, Mayor Nelson for recognizing our program and for the support we've received, especially over the last few years, in support of Angels Athletics. We've been in existence as a basketball program for 22 years in the Southland, but my wife and I stepped into the organization 10 years ago. 5 years ago, my wife left her 25-plus year career in corporate to take over as a full-time executive, and now I'm paid director of our program. And it was 2 weeks before shutdown and COVID. We pour into our young people using athletics as a way to hook them in, but to introduce them or to continue to support their aspirational goals as far as career aspirations, community involvement. And so we like to think of ourselves as a leadership organization through sports and STEAM activities. The support we get from the community is critical. I'm looking at coaches in the room, other mayors who support our program, parents who volunteer, all of us as a volunteer organization. And I guess my last thought to you is similar to the other individuals being represented, leaders in our community. We're fighting a crisis. And I think each of us in our homes who have children right now know that the envy that has gotten into our homes. And so any types of programs that allow us to get them away from the negativities of the phone and the internet and back into community building and building their bodies, their minds, and their spirits, I think are critical. So if you get a chance, angelsathleticsinc.com is the site. If you see us in the neighborhood, pull us over and tell us what you'd like to see us doing. But we just want to thank you again for your name.
Take a quick photo. I will repost it from the village website. This is not an endorsement, but this is rather an acknowledgement of the fine work that y'all do. So thank you. So much. Thank you again to all of the folks for doing great work here at the Homewood-Flossmoor and throughout the document. Next up, can I get a motion to approve the appointment of Carl Estelle as police chief?
Second.
Thank you so much. Mr. Carl Estelle has been the director of police services since August of 2024. The position of police chief is a mayoral appointment with a confirming vote by the board of trustees. Mr. Carl Estelle has more than 30 years of leadership in law enforcement and village management. Mr. Estelle has decades of progressive experience in law enforcement, community policing, and collaborative public safety practices. He has been an investigator and a supervisor of investigations. He has served 6 years as captain of police for the city of East Palo Alto, California. Prior to that, he had served 11 years as the special agent supervisor for the California Department of Justice, where he was the commander of the security detail for the state's attorney general, as well as the task force commander responsible for directing criminal investigations. He also has worked in special duty units and with the Drug Enforcement Agency Task Force. Since August, Mr. Estelle has been focused on completing many department goals, including filling staff vacancies, implementing new technology, and managing department capital projects, in addition to community outreach and special operational planning for village events. He completed an out-of-state reciprocity program through the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board. That transferred his credentials from California, and he passed, and he is now able to hold a sworn police position in the state of Illinois. Some of his goals include improving community policing and public trust, reducing crime and enhancing public safety, improving traffic safety and enforcement, modernizing technology, improving recruitment and advertising, enhancing school safety programs, increasing public engagement, and seeking funding for grants. It is my pleasure to nominate him for this position, and with that, I will take comments from the board, starting with Trustee Lofton.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, folks. The only thing I could do more than Mrs. Estelle be to take her speech and read it again to you, and I will do that. But clearly, I can add this, that I know Carl Estelle in these last year or so as being a man of integrity, a man of honesty. He's a family man. He is a man of faith, and he is a Flossmoor resident who loves his town. And because of those things and the things that Mrs. Estelle said, I highly recommend him for this position and strongly encourage your faith in him and your support. Thank you.
Trustee Jim Lakers.
I'd like to echo Trustee Lofton's comments about Mrs. Estelle. You hire her out because I can maybe use you for a few seasons. But Carl, I've gotten to know Carl, and he's been such a joy to work with. I know the training, his background, and what he had to go through, and I'm so appreciative that he stepped up to the plate and did it. And I just look forward to seeing what's next, and I know it's going to be good. So welcome to the chief job. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Trustee Mustafa.
Good evening to the board, the mayor, village manager, and residents, and members of the public, and especially those who have come to support Director Estelle. We've heard many compliments and in fact, much detail about his background, but my comments are not about him as an individual or a candidate. I oppose the process that has placed a director of police services in his position. As an elected official, process is very important to me. Means do not justify the end, no matter how admirable the end might be. Process we created to make his hiring possible is flawed. We did not conform to best practice for approving the job description, and we abbreviated the process for adding his position to the budget. We have affected morale within the police department, and we have made exceptions to Municipal Code 29-1-4 and Municipal Code 29-1-9 to create the current reporting relationship within FPD, which has caused confusion and miscommunication. The mayor, village manager, and several board members have disagreed with my assertion. I regret the board was not allowed to have an additional executive session or to table discussion until questions could be answered. Our process lacks transparency. I have also raised objections privately in emails to the village manager, the mayor, and the village attorney. The board raised questions but reached a consensus to vet a candidate and create a new draft job description. But as we all understand, this agreement to vet was not a vote because no votes can be taken in a closed session. I have never voted to approve the position of Director of Police Services. Our process is flawed. In the same meeting, we fast-tracked both the public discussion of the job description and a vote to approve a candidate. many questions were left unanswered. Today, I voice objection to the appointment of Director Estelle to the position of Chief of Police because of our unfair and flawed process. After 5 changes in Flossmoor Police Department leadership in fewer than 6 years, some in the department may believe this appointment could stabilize the department. However, the process leading to this outcome lacks integrity and does not address the underlying concerns. Director Estelle accepted the position in good faith. He had no way of knowing about all of the special arrangements and decisions the board has made leading up to his employment. My statements and position today are consistent with all of my previous questions and votes on this matter. On March 7, 2023, the mayor announced that there were serious operational and administrative lapses that led to the termination of Chief Jarrell Jones. Residents are not receiving the level of public safety services they expect and deserve. Immediately, Deputy Keith Taylor was appointed to serve as acting chief. Since very late 2022, on 2 separate occasions, Deputy Chief Keith Taylor has been appointed acting chief of police. The first time was after Chief Todd Kamleiter began a leave and then retired in December 2022. And the second time began officially on March 7, 2024, after Chief Jones was terminated. The Flossmoor Police Department has served under Keith Taylor for more than a total of 14 months. I stress over 14 months because Deputy Chief Taylor also stepped in as acting chief when Chief Kamleiter was on an extended medical leave. And when Chief Jones was denied access to his office before his termination was finalized, and also during Chief Kamleiter's month-long vacation leave right before he retired. So my questions to our board and to our residents are, would the mayor and village manager select D.C. Taylor to serve as acting chief for more than a total of 14 months if he were not qualified to serve in that capacity? Why would the mayor and village manager appoint Deputy Chief Taylor a second time if they felt he could not lead the department the first time? Would the police department be placed under the leadership of an acting chief who, with Commander Philkins, must complete the responsibilities of deputy chief at the same time if both were not qualified? If the village of Flossmoor was not receiving the level of public safety services they deserve under Chief Jarrell Jones, or had experienced operational lapses under Chief Jones, would the mayor and village manager further risk the safety of residents by appointing an acting chief who could not keep Flossmoor safe? And why didn't the village consider an interim chief from the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police? Their linebacker program could provide an interim or substitute chief of police if Deputy Chief Taylor had not been qualified. No specific operational or administrative lapses under Chief Jones have been revealed since March 7, 2024. There has been no announcement about the specific missing public safety services. No safety concerns have been reported under Acting Chief Taylor. Therefore, I conclude that Flossmoor has been safe and has not been at risk under his leadership. Is it possible that we really did not need to recruit or hire a director of police services? I voted against the creation of the position of Director of Police Services, and I have also voiced objection to making this position head of the police department.
Municipal code stipulates that the chief of police is the department head and all members of the department report to that position. All persons who are members of the department shall serve subject to the orders of the chief of police. Even though an acting chief is a chief until the position is filled, I was advised that our municipal code did not apply because it wasn't a code for a deputy chief. Director Estelle did not create that interpretation of code. He made a decision to accept the position he was offered. However, my objections are not about the individual or the decision he made to work for Flossmoor. I will always oppose an unjust process and unfair exceptions. What is our process for allowing qualified staff to move up? When we searched for a replacement for Chief Todd Fenwider, we overlooked internal candidates. Both Acting Chief Taylor and Commander Filkins were among the top 4 candidates who were assessed as qualified to be chief. Our Flossmoor Police Department deserves respect, stability, and consistency. We have jeopardized the morale of Flossmoor Police Department, and we have removed the possibility of advancement for qualified members of the department, and all levels feel unheard. Having multiple open positions has led to additional turnover, has led to additional overtime, canceling leave or comp time, and creates potential for an unsafe community in the future. I commend all of the Flossmoor Police Department for their hard work, their professionalism, and their commitment to Flossmoor, especially throughout these uncertain years. Thank you for stepping up and often going above and beyond. We have spent thousands of residents' dollars, and we have consumed hours of staff time to fill the chief position using a flawed process. Our residents deserve more from us. I vote no to this appointment.
Just to be clear, even though we don't agree on the process, you're voting no on the person. This isn't a vote on the process.
Then I vote no on the appointment.
Of this person.
I vote no on the appointment.
Okay, thank you. Also, you were not declined any board discussion over this. There were many closed session meetings.
Point of information, sure. I have emails and I have minutes from meetings where I requested discussion and the motion was not seconded. I have emails. Point of order. I have emails that I chose not to cite because I wasn't here to do a back and forth. I can show those to you at a different time.
I'd like to see those, but you didn't get the closed session because the board did not second that.
And that was an error in procedure. There was no call for a second by the chair, which is you.
You could have asked for a second as well.
It is not up to just me. It is up to the village clerk, the chair, and the attorney.
And the other point is that Carl did know about the special arrangements that we're making.
I will not go back and forth on this anymore.
That's
We
fine.
can talk afterwards.
I just think it's a public discussion and the public should know that Mr. Estelle did know about the special arrangements and he did know about the work that would need to go into this process. Thank you. Trustee Bradley Scott.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out today. Leading an organization through change is especially a disagreement, requires a plan that focuses on working together, following set rules, and proactive procedural support. Sticking to these rules ensures fairness and transparency, which helps keep trust and order within the organization. Our agenda tonight is to appoint Director Estelle to Chief of Police for the Flossmoor Police Department. Residents have asked if board members have personal objections to the current Director of Police Services.
Residents wonder why no current command staff member, including Deputy Chief Taylor and Commander Filkins, has been promoted to Chief of Police. They were two of our 4 finalists, along with Chief Jerome Jones in 2023. Carl Estelle was not. After the termination of Chief Jerome Jones, we overlooked 2 qualified internal candidates who have built strong relationships with the Flossmoor community. My conversation with residents indicate that both are respected across the neighborhoods. However, my objection to the recruitment, selection, and planned appointment of Director Carl Estelle are about our process and not about Carl Estelle, the individual who accepted the position in good faith. Our process is flawed. The most important tenets of a police department organization are accountability, integrity, upholding the law, community service, maintaining public safety, transparency, fairness, and a strong chain of command. The board heard from the village manager and mayor that we should not confer with the agency that conducted our national recruitment efforts and made recommendations to staff for the chief role. Nor should we open up the candidate pool for any candidates to apply. Instead, the village ignored HR best practices, refused to self-reflect and evaluate, and missed opportunities to examine how 5 changes in police leadership since December 2022 have affected the Flossmoor Police Department. The acting chief Taylor has held the position of Chief of Police for 2 cycles, December 2022 through March of 2023, and again from February 2024 to the present time, totaling almost a year and a half. There have been no reports of safety concerns, administrative lapses, or behaviors unbecoming a law enforcement officer. Flossmoor has been safe under his leadership. What is preventing his permanent appointment? Our community, and particularly our police department, deserve to know. Flossmoor has not followed policy, process, or protocol. Director Estelle has many years of experience and served well in California until 2013, the most recent time he worked in law enforcement. This was not the fault of Director of Police Services, as he honestly explained through the recruitment process in 2022 that he was not certified in Illinois to serve as a sworn officer. Our administration ignored or found a workaround for municipal code and made an exception to the personnel manual to bring us here today. I have opposed the firing of our former chief and have strongly inquired about what is lacking within the police department and the recruitment process. To date, I have not received acceptable responses to these questions posed 10 months ago. For the public's benefit, here are some of my questions. Given that we have relied on the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police Board, why would we not seek their advice on returning to Mr. Estelle to curate a position? What are we afraid of communicating with them about our decision to move forward and any backlash it might bring? Can you speak to any member of that board? Are they supporters of Flossmoor today versus yesterday? Are they supporters of our command staff? And are we open to hearing criticism of our system? I want to understand the rationale better for the sake of understanding and making an informed decision on best practices and best options. The board was informed before the hiring of Director Estelle that Deputy Chief Taylor needs additional training. Since 2022, the first time Deputy Chief Taylor was appointed acting chief, there have been ample time for providing any training that the village manager says is needed. I have opposed the firing of our former police chief. I have opposed passing over to qualified command staff. And now I oppose the appointment of Director
and defensive strategies is essential for a balanced and resilient organization. Integrating offensive and defensive strategies is essential for a balanced and resilient organization. Talking with the village board in an executive session would help us collaborate privately without discussing these matters publicly. Unfortunately, it is concerning that we have to discuss such private issues publicly due to the board's unwillingness to meet in executive session. The community expects the mayor and the board to lead with an uncompromising way. We, the board and administration, are responsible. I oppose this appointment and will vote no.
Thank you. Just again, we met on this item several times in closed session. There was a lot of discussion around this, and not sure what you're alluding to, but there is one thing that I want to set the record straight on. Both you, Trustee Bradley Scott, and Trustee Mustafa had said that Carl Estelle was not one of 4 finalists, and we have talked about this several times. Back when we were looking for our original appointment, the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board had said to us that they would not transfer his credentials from California. 2 years later, we found out that they were reversing that decision and that they would transfer those credentials. That was something that we talked about several times. So for you and Trustee Mustafa to continuously pull that out and say that he wasn't one of the top 4 candidates, it was because his credentials didn't transfer when we originally went to that standards board. They changed their mind for whatever reason, and had they told us that his credentials would transfer back when we started this process, he would have been a finalist.
Did you reach out to the board to determine where his qualifications stood, or did they contact you?
Both times we reached out to the Illinois Training and Standards Board. And the first time they told us no, the second time we reached out, the second time in the process, and you know this because we've talked about this, they said that yes, they would transfer them.
So again, there is a lapse in the communication in terms of answering the questions as it pertains to the questions that have been asked. We were supposed to go into executive session before the appointment to get any and all of the remaining questions answered, as well as a job description before voting on the Director of Police Services position.
You did.
That did not happen.
We went into executive session.
Point of information. Information.
Sure.
Yes.
What would you like to address?
As we all understand, we had a public meeting where Director Estelle was present. And at that meeting, we did 2 things. We approved the job description, and we also voted to hire him into the position of Director of Police Services. 2 actions at one time. We did not have a separate executive session to review the job description separately. I have minutes from July 1st where I expressed that I would have preferred to have a separate session just to go through the job description. We had gotten it on a Friday. We voted on it Monday. At the same time, we hired an employee. Please check the minutes from July 1st.
We did have the discussion. Trustee Decker.
Thank you. So I'm going to get to Carl in a minute, but I have to address a few things. I was raised in integrity is the most important thing that you possess in life. If you cannot be taken for your word, you can't be taken for anything. So I'm going to address a few things that were said tonight. Though I won't discuss what was talked about in executive session, I would be more than willing to move and support the vote to release those executive session minutes for transparency. What I will say, in those executive sessions, at the end of each, I ask every single one of my board members, is there any hesitation you have in moving forward with this process at all. And on every single occasion, 2 executive sessions that we had, no one said yes. Everyone said no. Let's move forward. So I'm a bit confused as to why we're talking about transparency. So let's just release the minutes. Let's just talk about it. Let's just get it all out there then and say, okay, here was the executive session minutes. Now that's at the expense of some personnel discussion that happened in those meetings. It's at the expense of some people who we hired in order to help us with the process, who did not do a great job with that process, which is why we didn't go back to them. I take it as a personal affront to be told that I would actively support a process that is as flawed as you say it is. It's not true. Are there things that we could do better? Yes, we always have to fight that. But I will be damned before I sit and approve a process that I know is flawed. This gentleman back here easily is the most qualified of the candidates that have been presented before us. His credentials were not able to be transferred. I'm a licensed sailboat captain. I sailed my sailboat across Lake Michigan in 12-foot waves and storms by myself. If the Coast Guard tomorrow said, we're pulling your credentials, that doesn't mean I can't sail the boat. I'm still the sailor. I still know how to do it. I have the skills. This man has all of the skills that are necessary in spades to run this police department. And had we been given the information that his credentials would have been approved in the state of Illinois, he would have been the leading candidate, and I would have voted yes at that time. This gentleman back here has proven through his career that he is more than capable to help us in the village of Flossmoor with all of the issues that we have and face. I am confident of that. If we need to go back and look at some of the parts of the process, some of the fine-tuning that we need to do for hires in the future, fine. I'm not going to oppose this man who's more than qualified, because we have to make some changes internally as a board. There was nothing egregious done in this process. Otherwise, in those executive sessions, someone would have said, no, we can't move forward. So, to the gentleman in the back of the room, I am so glad to have you here. I look forward to working with you. Bridget can attest that I can be a little demanding with information and phone calls and emails, because I have a lot of things that come to me from the community, and I try as immediately as possible to pass them. So on 4 separate occasions, I've reached out to Carl and said, hey, I've got questions. Every single time I got an answer within a day or two, even when I knew he was in the middle of some very, very intense things that he was dealing with in the department. I got a response within a couple of days, usually same day. He made himself available. I came in and sat down with him to talk about my concerns on one of those occasions, had conversations with him multiple times in all these other situations. The man works hard. He cares about this community. The things that he's been dragged through in this process, I mean, he's still sitting back there and wants to do the job? Come on. See me on this board, I rarely do what I'm doing right now. Most of what we do on this board is make sure that bills get paid, roads get paid, and it's done responsibly. It's a lot of stamping things that need to get done. But from time to time, there are decisions that we have to make. And when we have to stand up, do what's right, have the integrity to be who we are, we need to do that. This is one of those times for me. So let's release the executive session minutes if you want transparency, okay?
Thank you so much. Trustee, excuse me. Thank you so much. Trustee Driscoll.
I'd like to just echo what Gary said.
they should not be spoken about publicly about other candidates who are not up here for this particular appointment. That being said, let me address the issue of Director Estelle as police chief. I saw his resume. I didn't have the benefit of being a neighbor of his in Elmtree like George, who spoke glowingly of you. I just got to know you through this process as we were going through a transition. I worked with a lot of chiefs of police in my role as an adjudicator. Through my law practice, I run into a lot of chiefs on both sides of the fence. When we sat down in the interview with Director Estelle at that point, you could not diminish the gravitas of the man sitting there. He exuded everything that you wanted in a police chief. He won me over in a 15-minute interview, and his actions since then have confirmed what we all felt, and I think we all knew from that. So, Director Estelle, now to be Chief Estelle, we welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Clerk Legato, please call the roll.
Trustee Bradley Scott.
Before I answer that vote, I also want to comment to Trustee Dagnett's point about the executive session. There was, since we're talking about the executive session, the vote to continue to pursue what the director's role looked like was what was offered so that we could come back and talk about it in executive session. That is what the instructions were and that we all agreed upon in executive session. So that is the disparity of what is being talked about today and would have provided additional insight, additional thought and process about where we landed based on the information that we would have been given had we had that executive session. So before we grandstand and say that you're standing on business of what you said, let's say everything correctly the way that it was pointed. Put it out there and how we voted on it in that particular session. How we talked about it, there was no vote in that particular session. My vote is no.
Trustee Daggett.
And let's release the minutes. My vote is absolutely yes. Welcome aboard.
Trustee Driscoll.
My vote is yes. Welcome, Director.
Trustee Lofton.
A resounding yes.
Trustee Bastos.
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa. I must also respond because Trustee Daggett is adamant and he's cursing, which are both unacceptable. In executive session, no vote can be taken. Agreement, discussion, but no vote. I agree to continue vetting, due diligence, and more information. I also agree to parameters and expectations for the performance of the command staff so we would know what it would take for them to be promoted. And that was not provided. So my vote, as far as process, continues to be unknown.
Motion passes. Motion passes.
Albo is going to issue the oath of office.
Could you please raise your right hand? I state your name.
Carl Estelle.
Having been duly appointed to the office of Chief of Police
To the office of Chief of Police
of the Village of Flossmoor,
of the Village of Flossmoor,
Police Department
Police Department,
of the County of Cook
County of Cook,
and the State of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the laws of the State of Illinois,
the laws of the State of Illinois,
and the Village of Flossmoor,
and the Village of Flossmoor,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Chief of Police
of Chief of Police
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
I want to see what's going to happen next.
Chief Estelle, as new adopt. Welcome aboard.
Here we go. Huh? You ready?
I'll just let the room clear out, thank you everybody for coming. I know Chief Estelle and the other chiefs are going to do a photo out the hallway. Thank you so much for coming out. You're welcome to stay.
I did
We have additional business to get through. You are welcome to be on the hallway or stay, but we are going to continue to. Thank you so Can I get a motion to approve consideration of a resolution appointing Flossmoor's police representative to Econ's 911 operating committee? Moved by trustee Daggett, seconded by trustee Driscoll. Presenting is village manager Rochelle.
Thank you. This is a bit of a housekeeping item, but now with the appointment of a police chief, we are looking to also appoint Chief Estelle to the Econ operating committee. Each community in Econ has 2 representatives to its operating committee, traditionally police chief and fire chief in each municipality, and with Carl's appointment to police chief this evening, we'd also be looking to him on this board.
Thank you so much. I'll start with comments from trustee Micros. Thank you. Trustee Mustafa.
No comments.
Thank you. Trustee Brandon Scott. Thank you. Trustee Daggett.
No comment.
Trustee Driscoll.
No questions or comments?
Trustee Lofton.
No comment.
I guess I should have put this on consent. No comments. Clerk McDonald, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Daggett. Trustee Driscoll. Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Trustee Micros. Trustee Mustafa.
Yes.
Trustee Brandon Scott.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Thank you so much. Is there anything anyone would like pulled off of the consent agenda for discussion? Anybody else? Trustee Mustafa, did you have something you wanted to pull off? Thank you. Okay, so can I get a motion to approve consent agenda item number 4?
Second.
Thank you so much. Clerk McDonald, please call the roll on consent agenda item number 4.
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Trustee Micros.
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa. Trustee Brandon Scott. Trustee Daggett. Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Can I get a motion to approve the bills for approval and payment as approved by the Finance Committee dated February 17th,
So moved.
2025?
Second.
Thank you so much. Trustee Bradley Scott, since you requested this to be pulled off, I'll start with you.
Yes, on page 5, I wanted to ask a question about the payment of what it appears to be, is a City of Chicago Heights red light enforcement ticket. Do we normally pay tickets?
That's an excellent question. The ticket came back to the municipality because it was tied to one of our vehicles, and so yes, we had to pay it. We have had this happen before where that cost then goes on to the employee and the employee pays it. In this particular case, the employee who drove through the red light and received the ticket is no longer with the village.
Any other questions?
That was the only question.
Anybody else on the board have any questions on item number 5? Clerk Lugano, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Trustee Micros.
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa. Trustee Brandon Scott. Trustee Daggett. Trustee Driscoll. Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Can I get a motion to approve consideration of a joint funding agreement and resolution with IDOT for the Central Business District Roadway, Pedestrian, and Streetscape Improvement Project?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you so much. And we have Director of Public Works, John Norkey, here presenting. Just as a reminder, these are downtown renovations that we are so excited to see see this coming late spring, summer.
Yeah, early summer, so.
Welcome.
Hi everyone, how is everyone? The CBD pedestrian streetscape project is on the IDOT's March 7, 2025 state letting. As you may recall, this project was awarded the ITEP grant from IDOT, which is the Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program. The grant amount was $1,184,456. The ITEP grant will cover 80% of the project's construction costs and 80% of the construction engineering costs, up to the not-to-exceed amount of the grant amount. The 20% matching funds and any other project overages for selections on the project will be the responsibility of the village. IDOT has submitted a joint funding agreement for the village's approval in order for the project to be awarded by IDOT after the March 7th letting and move ahead for construction processing. The village board must approve the agreement by resolution. Per the agreement, the construction will be paid for by IDOT and the local share will be invoiced to the village after the work has been completed. The construction engineering, conversely, will be paid for and contracted by the village, and the federal share will be invoiced to IDOT for reimbursement. The federal funds for the construction and construction engineering will be limited to the ITEP award amount of $1.184 million. The village's portion of the estimated project cost will be included in the FY26 budget. The project construction should begin in May, as anticipated after the March letting and processing of contracts and so on. Public Works plans on holding a resident open house event once the IDOT award has been made, and we have more information on the contract or project schedule. The village has also presented the project plans to the Flossmoor Business Association, and will continue to regularly communicate with the association as the project progresses. Communication with the general public will also be available through emails as normal on our projects, and also regular updates in our e-news and our website. So with the above information in mind, Public Works is recommending that the Mayor and Board of Trustees approve the attached joint funding agreement for construction work by the resolution with IDOT. If there's any questions.
Thank you so much. Trustee Bradley Scott.
I have a question. There's a document dated 11/11/24.
You have a page?
Yes. On page 164. Oh, no, that's 11/12. So actually, it's 11/12/24. So,
Is this current motion, or is this for the next motion?
that is correct. My apologies.
No worries. Do you have any?
I don't have any questions on this one.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Devitt.
So the only question I had, first off, John, I really appreciate all the hard work you guys put behind this. I know how much goes into this. And when I look through it, I try to do my best to understand it all. I think my biggest question on it is with the timing of the project that it's going, is there any, I know we're supposed to be done by like in August. If there's an overrun, do we have any risk on the timeline of losing funding on any of this, or are we?
Not so much funding. IDOT did confirm that funding is still solid for this and all their other grants, basically through IDOT after the recent changes at the federal government level. But yeah, the funding's okay. There is a time limit on the project though for IDOT's contract, so we'll have substantial liquidated damages potentially if they don't hit the date, kind of like our other projects. So.
Okay, perfect. And the only other thing with it, and I know this is kind of ancillary to the topic tonight, but I really appreciate all the work that's been done to communicate with the small businesses downtown. They've expressed, I try and go in often, and they've expressed their gratitude to me personally, to you guys, that they're very grateful that you guys are communicating early and often. They're very grateful for it because there's a little hesitation about the impact it's going to have on them, and they're very grateful for it. So thank you for putting all that together and being there with them. No other questions.
Just a point of clarification, a lot of the planting work might take us into September, October, August is not.
Potentially, yeah.
So while the hardscape should be substantially complete, the planting work usually goes in the cooler.
Yeah, and hardscapes and stuff, it's going to be most destructive, so.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody else who's watching doesn't
Got it, thank you.
Trustee Driscoll.
No questions. My only comment is exactly what I want to see. Keep doing full steam ahead. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Trustee Lawson.
No questions, comment, however, it may occur on the next slide.
Trustee Matrix.
No comments really. We've been at it for a while now, so good job. Good to see it go.
Trustee Mustafa.
Now you put your heart and soul into it, because you're always pretty good. Yeah. I just need to know your opinion. Because we're still facing creeping inflation, or let's not even call it inflation, just increases. So what is your expectation? What's your gut feel about how it's going to come back, or can we do this, or?
Good question. Really pricing from what we've heard recently and in the construction world for road construction, it's been holding pretty well. The estimate that they used to put this together, they had some pretty conservative higher numbers in there, so hopefully it'll work out. And bidding early also on March 7th is a good thing. Than waiting until later on in the spring or summer. So we're hopeful that the pricing will come in good. I was on the website, and IDA's website today, and I had a couple of local contractors that already got the plans and they're working on them. So that's a good sign, but we're hoping that pricing will kind of hold. So keep our fingers crossed. It is a congested area, streetscape project downtown. It's going to be a lot of coordination and scheduling and stuff and staging the work. So that could affect things a little bit, but we're hopeful that it's going to be all right. Goes back, so.
But this is more leaning toward engineering expertise. So when you have a project like this in the hottest months of the year versus the best time would be like September, October, November, because of concrete can season and it's not too hot. So does it make a difference in the duration of the project? Does it make a difference in the materials you have to buy?
Majority of this project is all concrete. So, and actually, middle of summer is not a bad time to be doing concrete until you get to the real hot end of the summer. We anticipate most of the concrete work is going to be done by earlier to midsummer at the latest.
Okay.
And then paving work can happen anytime with the heat and stuff, really. But concrete work, yeah, it's better when it's cooler out and stuff. But I think we're going to get an earlier start, especially if we start in May, and working on the concrete, because all the walks, the curbs around the island, and all the islands that we're going to install, that's the majority of the work, really. And then the landscaping work, wait for good weather, and then a lot of water to keep up with it. So
if everything goes according to plan, these are probably the best times to do it.
Yeah.
So just to let you know, I didn't know about concrete except that my dad told me, because he used to mix his own and pour concrete for projects around the house. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Clerk O'Donnell, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Mitros.
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa.
Yes.
Trustee Bradley Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Daggett.
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can I get a motion to approve the award of contract to Baxter and Woodman for the Central Business District roadway, pedestrian, and streetscape improvements project H3 construction engineering?
So moved.
Thank you. And we have Director of Public Works again to present. John, thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you. So CBD project is on the March 7th IDOT letting, as I mentioned previously. As part of the IDOT funding agreement process, the village must approve the contract for the construction engineering portion of the project before they'll award the contract and move ahead towards contract moving ahead with construction. So the project will be utilizing federal ITEP funds for a portion of the construction and construction engineering. Since federal funds will be used on the project, the village was required to use a qualification-based selection process as dictated by IDOT for selecting an engineering firm to complete the work. In September of last year, Public Works Department advertised the RFQ for the project on the village website. 8 RFQ packages went out and 4 submittals were received. The 4 firms that did submit to us, I don't have the memo here, but it was Baxter & Woodman, Strand Associates, SE3, and Millhouse Engineering. The village staff conducted interviews of all 4 firms that submitted and scored them according to a predetermined selection criteria that was set forth in the RFQ document. The criteria that was used were qualifications and experience of the firm and proposed staff, 30%, technical approach to perform the phase 3 engineering, 20%, references and examples of similar projects completed by engineering firm, 20%, experience with public interaction and communication, 20%, and workload capacity of the firm, 10%. The process resulted in Baxter Woman scoring the highest of the 4 firms that submitted. Baxter Woman has submitted the attached engineering services agreement for consideration this evening for the phase 3 construction engineering. The total not to exceed amount of the contract is $177,755. The federal ITEP funding will cover 80% of this cost, and the village will cover the 20% match. Baxter Woman has completed the phase 1 and 2 engineering for the project. The work has been pretty good. The following list of tasks that are included in this proposal are Task 1, act as the owner's representative on the project. Task 2, project initiation. Task 3, construction administration. Task 4, field observation. Task 5, completion of project. And Task 6, project closeout. Being a federally funded project and through IDOT, there's more engineering work involved with construction administration, a lot more documentation that's required, and that's kind of the reason why there's more effort involved in it. Not to mention that we're in our downtown area where there's the project's going to be hands-on every day, full-time, probably up to 2 resident engineers on the project when it gets really busy and coordinating work. Baxter Woman will utilize 2 sub-consultants for the project. Tesco Associates, who you may have remembered, was a landscape designer on the project. They're also going to be on the project to help with selection of plantings, questions that come up with the different streetscape elements that they design. We thought that was crucial for the project success. And the other sub-consultant on the project is Ventura, who's a material testing company. They'll be handling all material testing on concrete and asphalt. Ventura is a certified MBE and DBE firm in the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago. So with the above information in mind, Public Works is recommending that the Mayor and Board of Trustees award Phase 3 construction engineering services contract for the Central Business District roadway, pedestrian, and streetscape improvements project of Baxter Woman Inc. in the not to exceed amount of $177,755. The cost of this contract will be scheduled and expensed in FY26. And Matt Abadoodle from Baxter Woman is with us tonight if you may have any questions, and I'm also here for any questions you may have.
Thank you, and thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it. Trustee Bradley Scott, since you had a question on this, I'll go ahead and start with you.
Thank you. I know Baxter and Woodman work on several projects within our town. And I'm going to assume the answer is no to this, but if you can explain a little bit more behind this. So Baxter and Woodman provided the engineering aspect, and they would like to also work on the construction aspect of the job. Is there any conflict that would present itself in that process?
No, actually, it's somewhat of more of a benefit than it would be any kind of conflict, I feel. So any other firm could do the construction engineering because they're going to pick up the design plans for the project and the bid documents, and then they manage the construction aspect of the work. But being the same company, that does help some seamless transition of those materials and easier contact if there's a question on, hey, what was the meaning of the design here? What's meant here at this location? It's easier coordination a lot of times since they're the same company. So it actually makes it a smoother trade project. We found that's what our experience.
And you provided the sub-consultants. Can you just, I didn't hear everything that you said. Interior, one more time, what service do they provide?
Yeah, so Interior is the material testing company. That the only thing they'll do on the project is the asphalt and concrete testing for the project. So that's required. We have to test all the asphalt materials on the project, density testing, bore testing. They do some testing, I believe, at the plant as well to make sure that the QC plants are in line, and then do the same thing with the concrete mixes. So that's required in the IDOT documentation process.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we'd be surprised that sometimes you can find fixes from asphalt and concrete that fail, and things have to get removed from the job because they were mixed and passed inspection. So It's an important part, and we also do that on all our resurfacing projects as well, as required by the state.
Thank you for that. Okay, so, going to the bid amounts. So we have an opportunity to see exactly how much, the payroll escalation table and so forth. And so if a job doesn't finish in the time frame, then we're gonna, you know, we're gonna be charged more for getting it done.
Basically, their proposal is based on hours that are meant for, you propose for the project. More of the escalation factors and stuff, these are numbers that are on file, and that's how they're charged with their overhead. And those are on file, I think, with IDOT. Every year, the consultants have to give their rates to IDOT, and they have to get work approved. And then those are the rates that they're actually putting in here as the contract, so that's how we actually have those set.
Okay.
Yeah, to answer your question, it's a not to exceed number based on how many hours you're needing on the job. So if there's times where we get, part of the way through the job where times are slower, where there's not much going on, they don't have somebody on the scene charging us hours if there's no work going on. So we kind of try to manage that a little bit and make sure we come in hopefully under the contract or up to it, but we don't have authority to go over the contract.
Okay. And so with the bid amount that we are expecting, the total project is $77,000 and change, how do we ensure that those costs are going to be able to get us through the project? If we are getting a certain percentage from the state or from the federal government, and we're responsible for a certain portion, how do we ensure that we can manage within those parameters?
Or basically, we're estimating and making sure that they're going to be able to get the work done in hours we're saying they're going to get it done in. They obviously they're held to this too. IDOT actually is approving this, not just the public board, the engineering agreement, and they're signing off on this before we can move ahead. So they're also another check on it. So, and basically, it's like any other of our engineering contracts. We have to manage those and see the work that's going into them and track them as they go along, right, as the project progresses. We try to bring them in under budget if we can. That's happened on a couple of other recent projects. One being the viaduct, we came in on that construction engineering under budget because we can try to turn hours on the job if it's not needed to have somebody out there watching the work. We don't have them out there. We don't just waste the money. We save money. So it's the same as this. And their proposal is based on the whole project, the recent project and elements that were selected by the board for the updated estimate with all the work. So that's how they use that to determine how many hours they're going to be out there.
So as an example, if we were pouring for a street light, that is considered on the construction side of phase 3?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so any work that's going on, any construction work, resident engineer will be on the job, watching the job. And another big part of the resident engineer's job is the coordinating with the business owners, the residents. We met the resident engineers that will be on the project. They have a lot of experience. They've already been out and talked to some of the businesses. So they build a relationship so they can help coordinate the work and make it more streamless. And it's basically an extension of almost the village staff, I would say, which is a good thing.
So in this amount, will the street light be part of this? We have the concrete rolled into this amount.
I think I'm so sorry, I think you're confusing. This is the oversight of the construction. This is not the construction number. This is not the actual bid. This is the engineering oversight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole construction number complete is a little over $2 million estimated before we bid it. So, yeah. So this 177,000 is only just engineering oversight. Yeah, and includes material testing and the self-consult with TESCA. That'll be an extension of Baxter Woman in this case to answer any questions that come up with the landscape design work and the selections. If the contractor may submit a submittal that's a little different than what was spec, those get reviewed, approved, or denied, and they'll be part of that process.
Okay, so then the amount that we just voted on in the previous section is for the construction and the engineering.
Just the construction. The last item was just the construction contract with IDOT.
Okay.
Yeah, the joint funding agreement, basically. It's not the contract, but for construction, it's a joint funding agreement, basically telling IDOT that the Flossmoor is willing to pay the 20% match, and any additional funds on the project for construction, we'll pay the ITEP funding. Okay, we'll bid the project on March 7th, and we'll move towards award and contract processing. But if we don't approve the funding agreement, they won't do that. They'll stop because they don't have a matching partner.
Understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Daggett.
So, a couple questions. One of them is, like when you talk about concrete testing, that's where you see little black cylinders and they fill with concrete. So that is an incredibly important part of the job, because what we don't want to have happen is 3 years from now we find out we had bad concrete. Because you don't find out in the first 2 months, you find out in the first 3 years.
Yeah.
It starts spalling and cracking, and you have to take all of that in. So I'm glad that we have that oversight, and that's a part of it. So one question I had, so Baxter Woodman, we have a great relationship with them. Since I've been on the board, every project that we have, they come in like great, fantastic. So one of the questions that I had is kind of insulated, is to forget, I don't want to just let me know. Is there, and this may not be for you so much as you, when these projects get bid, I know that we have a bid process and it's very stringent on how those things are done. Exposure to the bids for more companies. Is there anything that the village can do to help with that process, to maybe get on some of our smaller projects, to establish a relationship with some more minority-owned businesses for these types of things? And if this is out of pocket, this is a discussion, totally fine.
But it's okay. Yeah. So basically, we advertise this. We send out to a lot of firms in the area. We advertise on our village website. We get the word out there. We also check the databases we have from Chicago for the different firms. We sent out to a lot of them on past projects. The ones that have been responsive and past other ones, kind of the same ones that have come back to us and respond. We sent, like I said, we sent out 8 packages to listener firms. Only 4 responded, so they were really interested. Some weren't interested in the work, apparently, that some look like. But there's always more we can do if we can find firms that are interested in working with us. If there's registering on, they can register on the website as a vendor, and then they go ahead and get put on the list. We haven't had any engineering firms register there yet, but.
Okay. And this might be a question for Carl. If there were organizations that were out there that helped walk people through the bidding process, because a lot of minority-owned businesses are younger businesses that we haven't done it before. If we found organizations that did that, can we send our packets to them, or is that
so maybe some of the associations, like associations for like maybe minority businesses or different EBE businesses. That's a possibility. We inquired in the past about that, and they wouldn't let us advertise on their website. We had to become a member and pay thousands of dollars a year to be a member. It wasn't like, well, hey, we're trying to promote work here for your members. Can we give you the work and advertise it? No, you got to pay us money to be part of that process. So there's got to be a way around that somehow, but we haven't had much luck, unfortunately. Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Thank you. You certainly have the ability to try to get into those different avenues, but I think others have found the same thing. They want you to become a member in order to promote your project, but I think there's got to be some better ways of getting there. I just don't know what.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I'm asking the questions because I think there's some work that individual trustees might be able to do to find some of those relationships.
Yeah,
because I know staff doesn't always have time to do it, but if we come across that stuff, then we can bring it for consideration. That's why I'm asking the question. So I'm trying to create more work for the people here. So thank you. That's
we're always looking for more firms and companies. I mean, if you come across anybody, we'll send them our way and get them on the list. That's really how we build a list the whole time.
And again, my intention is not to kick back to women. I'm glad that we have a really, really solid relationship and they've served us very well. So that's not my intention with this at all. But if we can open up, for more people to be able to get into the process, I think that'd be great. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Driscoll.
Yeah, Ken, no questions, great presentation, and let's get out with the work. Sounds good.
Thank you, Trustee Lofton.
Several years ago, John, I think I introduced you to Millhouse Engineering. You've done well to keep them on the list. They were one of the 8.
Yeah, they were actually one of the 4 that submitted. We interviewed them. Yes.
Probably were a little high.
No, they actually. So when we score them, there's no money at that point talked about, no proposal amount. In the QBS process, we interview the firms and score them based on how they do a submittal to us for the project, and they have to answer basically all the information for those criteria that were laid out in the memo. And really, what it comes down to, then we talk about aspects in more detail, communication plans they use for on projects. Unfortunately, not to pick on them or any of the other firms, but they didn't have really good experience with municipal project. It was more like county state work. Not good communication experience with like residents, and more like handholding we expect on our projects, because basically these firms become an extension of staff to help us make sure the project comes in as delivered well. But yeah, we basically grade everybody on that, score them, and I can be happy sure I did a manager's report probably last fall, send it back out. We score them, and then we basically how the QBS works is you take the highest scoring firm based on the criteria you set forth that you tell them you're going to score them on, basically in the RFQ document. We score them, and then you negotiate a contract with them, basically, so get a proposal from them and make sure it matches and everything. So yeah, so basically no proposal on or anything is discussed until we actually get the scoring of the first, which I think keeps it pretty fair, because you're making sure you're selecting the firm before you're even talking about money involved. And then if you can't negotiate a contract within like 2 attempts, then you can go back to the pool and take the next highest score.
We'll see if we can find some more like that.
Yeah.
A shout out to Baxter Woodman also for including Terra. I think it is. That's those kinds of companies looking for. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Myers.
I just appreciate the hand-holding and the seamless aspect of this, because we're going to need it. If we've ever had a project in town that's probably going to disrupt a lot of things, this is it. So good job, and I look forward to getting started. And
yeah, we are too. We're excited about it.
It's going to be cool.
Even down to the squares in front of doors that are going to have to be important off hours, so we can get in temporary ramps over to get businesses access. That's the intent and expectation on this, is access 100% of the time that they're open.
And you have to be thinking that way, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's something we've talked about with all the firms, and they have good plans for it, so that's good. They dealt with it, so it's good.
Thank you, Trustee Mustafa.
Thank you for the attention to detail, and I really have no questions. I'd like just to extend a thanks for the work you're doing with the businesses, because we know that can go the wrong direction very quickly if you don't have cooperation all around.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think in the end they'll be pleased, but talking to them early helps reduce the satisfaction with how it's going. And so thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Clerk O'Donnell, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Mustafa.
Yes.
Trustee Bradley Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Daggett.
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Trustee Mitros.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. We do not need to go into executive session tonight, so I'll call for other business, starting with Trustee Mustafa.
I don't have any other business or questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Bradley Scott.
No question.
Trustee Daggett.
Just wanted to say thank you to staff for inviting the incredible organizations that are here tonight. I've had the pleasure of having numerous conversations with Ms. Destiny Watson. What that young lady does is amazing. Her board and her staff, they have a vision, and I'm excited to see where they're going to be in 10 years, because it's amazing. So thank you for having them here tonight. I think that recognition was well worth it. I need to get to know the other 2 organizations. That's the cool thing about having people here to recognize them. I wrote down the coaching, so I would love to work with Angels Athletics. That would be awesome. So thank you so much for that. I think the recognition was definitely deserved. Thank you to the staff
Thank you. Trustee Driscoll.
No questions or comments?
Thank you. Trustee Lawton.
No questions or comments?
Trustee Meggers. Clerk O'Donnell. Acting Village Attorney.
Your Worship, for when we do the 6-month semi-annual review of your closed session minutes.
We did a review not that long ago. I want to say fall. I'd have to look back specifically, but it has been within the year.
So every 6 months you review to determine whether there's any reason to maintain confidentiality, and if not, then they are to be released. So that is Trustee Taggett was suggesting that some of them be released as typically.
Okay, thank you. Village Manager.
I'm not sure if she's still here, but I want to welcome a new member to our team, Toria. Welcome. Toria Buckland is the new administrative assistant in the manager's office. She joined our staff last week. I believe the board, as you were coming in, had an opportunity to meet her. Toria has a long tenured career in administrative support in both the legal field and banking. She is a Flossmoor resident. She's raised her children here, and we welcome her to the team. Welcome, Toria.
Just a couple items. Tonight, the veterans of the VFW, local VFW, Wally Burns, recognized the Patriot 10 winners, students in junior high school at James Hart, Parker Junior High, and Infant Jesus Prague for their essays. It was really nice to be with them earlier, so congratulations to all the winners who participated in that. And then also, Ann Jackson would have been here, but tonight she had her fundraiser, her Soups On fundraiser, which I'm looking forward to getting a report on. But as I sit up here, I'm stuffed. We had so much soup. Troy Holmes was there too. We had so much soup. It was so good. But congratulations to Ann Jackson, another Flossmoor resident and director of a not-for-profit here in the village of Flossmoor. Doing good. Anyway, thank you so much to everybody who stayed. I appreciate you being here. Be safe, be warm, be well. Clerk O'Donnell, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second?
All in favor? Yes. Opposed? Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
You sound like you deal with the federal rates all the time.
Hopefully not too bad. I should have all the originals, I guess, there. They probably would have sent